question for Dr. McCook. Sorry. What about people, I've heard that people who have relapsing remitting, this procedure works for, and it doesn't for secondary progressive. What about mitoxin? Do you have heard anything about mitox, the mitox system? It's like it's almost like chemotherapy that they're using.
I need the full name of the drug before I can answer that well. I think I know which one you're talking about. So let's dispel this other myth, because Dr. Zamboni's early numbers had a small number of primary progressive and a small number of secondary progressive, and most of them are relapsing remitting, and he said in his document that it seems to be best indicated in relapsing remitting. Well, when, and notice I say when the government here starts to pay for this procedure, they're going to cling to that data big time. Now the data has probably been supplanted since, all right? But the initial data suggested relapsing remitting are the most responsive. But the other side of that coin is the relapsing remitting have the 4 drugs. They don't use them in secondary, primary, progressive. I mean, God knows they try. They went down like a stone, lots of people.
Beta-seron has been approved for secondary progressive.
For secondary progressive?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, so they've moved on. Beta-seron is now secondary progressive.
It has been for several years.
Yeah.
20 years.
It doesn't work.
Well, it may reduce the number of lesions that show on MRI. I mean, that's where the data came from.
No, it's not just based on lesions.
Okay, well, you know, we need to talk after, because I really stand behind the 10-year reviews, and I think they're really strong. But my suggestion is all relapsing remitting will become secondary progressive. Now maybe you'll be 90 earlier and it won't matter to you. And I think that's probably the group that fit into the so-called benign MS. I don't believe in benign MS, it's like benign cancer. But we have found now the improvement. You can't take someone who can't swallow, can't speak, and they get better. And they're never in that group virtually if they're in relapsing remitting. And they have profound improvement. We have found it makes a difference in all groups. And it fits right with the circulation data, because the circulation data problem exists in all groups. If there is any suggestion at all, the primary progressive are even more likely to have hazardous vein involvement.
I'm just wondering what one can do nutritionally to help with the symptoms. Some people say you shouldn't eat gluten, some say dairy is bad for you. What do you recommend? You mentioned fish oils, whey powder, protein.
Well, the short answer is get a copy of my book.
She's waiting for that.
I've been, you know, wrote it during that last, oh, okay, we'll get there. Everybody would agree, even now, even the neurologists, that MS is an inflammatory illness, okay? Inflammation is 4 things in the body. It's hot, so it's warm, it's swelling, it's redness, and it's pain or loss of function. Okay? That's what inflammation is. Everybody disagrees on what the triggering event is. One camp says that it's autoimmune, and it triggers the inflammation, and that's the swelling, because that's why we use steroids. Steroids are potent anti-inflammatories. They make 0 difference in the long term, and they might make you a little bitchy. Okay? But they're anti-inflammatory. The other side of the coin suggests that it's a circulation problem which triggers inflammation, and then autoimmune comes along in a mop-up phase to clear up with the white blood cells. And that may well be the case. I suggest that's it. Even if you take either end of the spectrum, you're hanging in with the autoimmune team, fine. You're hanging in with the circulation team, fine. Or maybe it's somewhere in the continuum. Everybody agrees it's inflammation is the problem that worsens it. Therefore, an anti-inflammatory diet would be brilliant. Anti-inflammatory diets are also the very best protection against heart attack, stroke, cancer, Alzheimer's, and therefore an anti-aging phenomenon. And I don't care whether you've got Crohn's, which is regional ileitis, ITIS is inflammation, okay? Doctor speak, all right? It's inflammation, and all the itises are. The brilliant doc who says you got a sore shoulder, you got a touch of arthritis. All it means is the joint's inflamed, okay? Anti-inflammatory is a no-brainer. I trained 2 years under Dr. Andrew Weil in the US. He talks the anti-inflammatory diet. Things to avoid. Absolutely avoid the trans fatty acids, because they're 5 times as pro-inflammatory as saturated fats. They've been beating on beef and they've been beating on butter, but we should have been beating on the trans fats. They're deadly. And the sneakiest name is vegetable, modified vegetable oil. No, vegetable short, that's the sneakiest name you got. But they got a whole bunch of sneaky names. Omega-6s. We used to say just take in more omega-3s. Well, I'm sorry. There's a chart in my book that talks about the omega-6s are pro-inflammatory. So spare me. I've had 50 or 100 people tell me to get on evening primrose oil. Well, it mostly has been shown to not work. 30 years of study. Okay? But it is in the omega-6 pathway. I even have a theory of why it maybe works a little for a while. But get rid of the omega-6s in your closet, in your kitchen. Maybe if you have a pantry, you don't have a closet, or whatever. So, get onto, MUFAs, which is olive oil, and healthy things. Reduce your omega-6 intake. Most of us, if you measured it in this room, and there's a really neat test, you can get it done out of Scotland now. And I've got some coming to me. They're a simple test to check your fatty acids. But the numbers show Canadians and Americans are 20 or 40 to 1 omega-6 to omega-3. This one's pro-inflammatory. Does that help in our illness? We should be 2 to 1. So quit taking in the 6s and keep jumping up the 3s. Women, especially in their reproductive years, do much better on ground flax than the omega-3s, alpha-linoleic acid at the top of the chain. Men move down 0 to 12%. Sorry guys, I can't tell you if you're a 12 or a 0, but some of us are zeros. Therefore, take EPA and DHA from fish oil or krill oil. And I'm suggesting pre-angioplasty for at least a month, be on at least 3,000 milligrams of the 2 combined. It's not rocket science. I use 2.5 times that in my cancer patient. All right? Anti-inflammatory. Okay. So, vitamin D, 2,000 units, barely a drop in the bucket. Most of us use 3,000 to 4,000 units a day. We could measure people in here. If you're not on a supplement, it's in your boots. Because it is now April, and you're still not making any outside. You could go outside, buck naked on a sunny day for 2 hours, and you won't tan. And you won't make any D either. And if you put on your skin block, it all stops being made too. 10,000 units is incredibly safe for 6 months. In fact, it's probably safe long term. Get on some, get your levels measured, see how much you need. Although I think they quit measuring them in Alberta to save money.
No, they didn't.
Oh, they've gone back? Oh, it's Ontario. Well, good for you, Alberta. Whey protein. Whey protein is an incredibly healing piece because it's very high in cysteine, bioactive cysteine. But you can read about the story in the book. It's actually Canadian research initiated out of the people at McGill, Dr. Gunos and Kung Sha. Okay? Well, I know I spent 5 years on the road talking about whey protein. All right? But it has a valuable healing piece. You don't want European whey protein because it's heated too much. You don't want regular gymnasium type whey protein because it's probably not optimal either. You want a few healthy ones. And that's pretty well the group.
So do you believe in macrobiotic diet? Macrobiotic diet?
There's a lot of wonderful...
Whey,
Okay.
like they wouldn't eat dairy, so whey would be the dairy product, right? And
Yeah.
you talk
Okay,
about
so let me
fish
dispel
oil.
that myth. Okay, if you're going to quit 2 food groups, they're not whole groups. 1/3 of people on this planet have neurologic troubles related to food. 1/3. And I spoke to the prairie grain wheat genetics people and got out alive. All right? 1/3. Not everybody. But if you have MS, it could be a significant piece. If you're desperate and you don't want to give up your bread, fine, get tested. You can get a little test, taking a few cells inside the cheek, and find out if you're gluten sensitive or not. Dairy. The problem in dairy that we react to is either the butterfat or it's the casein protein, all right? The whey protein from properly prepared whey is almost identical to the whey protein in human breast milk. It's safe. So I still take it. It doesn't work for Ashton in his best bet diet, but we're still friends, okay?
How about salt or aspartame?
Any of the diets, if they work for the individual, then use them on your journey.
And you know what, I know we could keep both of these gentlemen here till midnight, so it's been a long afternoon, but we just have a few thank yous to make. Katerina? I just want to thank everyone in the Edmonton community, the CCSVI Alberta, for helping us both in Edmonton and Calgary at our sessions. I mean, it was all word of mouth really that helped get people out today. And to please add your email if you're leaving there at the table, because if we want to go ahead and do this further, we want to be able to let you guys know about it. And so that's the way I want to create a database to do that. I also want to thank the two doctors. Thanks for coming, guys. And I was told from the Edmonton group here that meet at the Irish pub, they want to extend an invitation. I guess everyone is invited to this Irish pub. It's called the Irish Sports and Social Society. I think they have a beef on a bun if you want to go, and just to go and chat and, you know, keep the conversations going again, asking questions. It's on 12546 and 126th Street. So she said everyone's welcome and the kitchen will be open. And I want to thank this lovely lady, because she was my main contact here in Edmonton, and Vanna White there in the corner. Mamma mia. Thank you so much for all your help today.
I would like to thank this amazing lady, Michelle Walsh, for inviting Dr. Hewitt to Canada to educate us on CCSVI and open more doors. And I would like to thank Brenda McQueer for inviting Dr. Bill Code up here. It was very informative, thank you. I would also like to thank the people that have helped me make this a success, and that is Kimberly and Darren Armstrong, and Dagmar, and Dawn Loss, and Tammy McGregor.
I was on a plane today to California, so thanks everyone.